Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Heather Pickin, and today we're going to be talking about how to manage your stress and anxiety. If you find this video to be helpful, make sure you subscribe, thumbs up on the video, and comment below. I want to know if this video and the other videos that I'm putting out there are helping you. It is my mission and vision to empower you with strategies and tools to break through your fear, set goals that you feel aligned with, and evolve as a human being. That's what we're here to do. We're here to grow and evolve. And if we don't evolve, we are shrinking. So let's talk about a really important topic about managing anxiety and stress. Before we get into that, I want to give you a context of looking at, how these feelings are created, and that you have 100% control at all times on how you can alter your perception. So when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling stressed out, what is happening is that you are perceiving, through your senses, what these feelings are. And really what I mean by that is that whatever we perceive as stressing us out comes from how we define our life or what is missing, in what I call your life matrix. And your life matrix is comprised of different areas of your life. There's 8 different areas. I'm not going to get into it today, but just realize that if you're stressing out right now, let's say around money. Most people stress out about money. They stress out about relationships, and they stress out about their business or their career. So those are the 3 main stressors. And then you have the secondary issues that happen as a result of stress and anxiety. So when you look at those 3 areas, and then you look at the secondary issues, what happens as a result? Well, if you're stressed out and you're anxious, don't expect for you to be focused, right? Your focus, your attention span is going to go down as your stress expands and increases. Okay, so the higher volatility you have with your emotional state, you can see that your mind is negatively impacted from a focus standpoint, from finding innovative ideas, really finding the solutions, because you're literally closing off that executive center in your brain, in the prefrontal cortex, that is making powerful decisions. So that gets impacted. Your mindset gets impacted. And then also physically. So physically, can you see when you're stressed out or anxious, that you may not want to work out, or maybe you start binging on food. I had a history years ago. I don't have this anymore, but I used to binge eat. I couldn't stop, even though in the moment I knew that I had an issue. I didn't know how to manage my anxiety and my stress levels at the time. And it was like just this crazy feedback loop, because that's what happens. When you don't have a strategy to manage your anxiety and stress, you do create like a dopamine fix. This is how I'm wired to handle anxiety and stress. I create an addiction. So you could have an addiction to food. You could have an addiction to alcohol, whatever it is, fill in the blank, because you're not addressing the void. Okay. The root cause of anxiety and stress, if you've created an addiction, is a void that you're not addressing. Now, I'm probably not going to get into the void and surfacing those up today, but I want to get into some strategies. But I want you to know that, as human beings, we have the power at all times to alter our perceptions. We can change how we think about something in a second, literally in a second. So why don't we do that? Well, because our brains, from a very early age, we have created specific beliefs that we wire over and over again what those beliefs are, and then we'll create a stimulus, or we'll create a response to that stimulus. So if you grew up in a household where you found your mother or father always being reactionary to stress or anxiety, there are things called mirror neurons in your brain that are literally mirroring what your parents are doing. So can you see how you have handled anxiety and stress over the years by looking at their belief system, by literally quote unquote mirroring? So that is something that had happened to me until I started getting into this work and realizing, wait a minute, I don't have to take on those reactionary responses, is that I can literally have reflective awareness. Now, this takes time to literally retrain your brain. Now, have you ever noticed where if you feel like anxious in a relationship, you're stressed out in a relationship and you're not aware of what you're saying, that you'll automatically say something like right off the cuff? It's probably something that you shouldn't say, but you say it anyways. And that is a reactionary response. And what is essentially happening is that your brain is just following that feedback loop over and over again to be reactionary, reactionary. Uh, and that's probably I know this is one of the reasons why I do the work that I do today, because I had a history of being stressed out and anxious, and I didn't know how to handle my emotions. So, one of the very first things that you want to do is you want to recognize what your anxious and stressful patterns are. So look at what area of life, what area of life right now feels the most stressful. Where do you have most of the anxiety? Is it in your relationship? Is it in your finances? Is it in your work / business? So identify the area so you can create a practice that will help you. Now, a lot of times when I'm working with clients, I find that, like, if they have a block in their business, if they have a block, let's just say if they have a lot of stress and anxiety around money, I also find that there's unresolved issues in other areas of their life. It could be a relationship or a business or a job that they don't like. So you really want to find out, you don't want to put a Band-Aid on this situation, but you want to dig deeper to find these root issues so that you can, what I call, neutralize these issues. They don't run you. You'll know if they run you is that if over and over again, you're doing the same thing. You're feeling stressful, you're feeling anxious. So again, pinpointing that problem, not making yourself wrong. But to me, I find if you're willing to go deep within yourself to say, wait, what am I not paying attention to in my life? What voids am I trying to fill every time I get anxious? And that way you're going to be able to go to that next level in your mind, in your awareness, so that you show up more powerful in every area of your life, especially if you're attracting the same types of relationships over and over again, the anxiousness and stress. That's an indication that you haven't resolved a lot of other issues. I'm not going to get into that today, but I wanted to give you a context of, number one, at any given time, you can alter your perception. So you have to become aware of the triggered areas that you're feeling right now. So write down some of those triggers. What area of life, what are the triggers? What are some of the patterns that you find yourself locked into? You cannot change anything that you're not aware of. So we want to do that. And then the second step that I would recommend is to create a mindfulness routine. I am actually launching a mass marketable product. Don't want to say too much about it right now because I am filing for a patent. But if you do want to get on my wait list, make sure you either put a comment below with your email and I'll put you on that. But I really can't say too much about what it, or really can't show you. I've kind of alluded to some of the things, but anyways, I've realized that through my own journey and working with clients all around the world, that having a mindfulness practice is so critical to manage anxiety and stress. When you are creating a mindfulness practice, you're more in the flow. You have more reflective awareness, and the research that they've done, it shows that it's helped a person overall with their health, with their focus. So what types of mindfulness practice do you need to be doing? Well, we want to create literally like a template for your day. So starting out your day with mindfulness practice instead of looking at your phone, reading your emails, we're all guilty of that. Because in order to change your reactionary behavior to stress and anxiety, you need to create a new habit. You need to create a behavioral change, which starts with a mindfulness practice. Now, there are things that you can do like meditation. I'll link one of my meditations below, in this video. So scroll down in the description to make sure that you get that video. And that is something that you can listen to every single day. So a mindfulness practice. Other things that you can do, and there's been a lot of research on this, is journaling. Actually, that's one of my patented products that I'm working on. I can't show you it right now, but I have a very unique design and utility patent that I'll be launching. And so if you want to get on the wait list, please make sure that you either comment or send an email to my support team, support@heatherpiggin.com, and you'll be notified. I hope to launch this very soon. Or if you're watching this video much later, I probably already have it out. So anyways, doing that really helps you. They've done studies on some of the research they've done, particularly as it relates to depression. Those people that have actually journaled have been able to lift themselves out of depression, changing their mood, changing, just how they're addressing things. When you're journaling, what it does, it creates what's called metacognition, which is simply creating an awareness. You're aware of your thought patterns. So this is going to help you to reduce anxiety and stress levels. I work with clients with almost any issue you can think about, from divorce, death, money issues, bankruptcy, losing millions of dollars, you name it. A lot of trauma. I've helped my clients to manage around that, to navigate around that. But that's for another video. But again, your stress and your anxiety feels like this real thing. So we must have a mindfulness practice. So the reason why, I think I've stated before, is that we want to get your brain into a new way of thinking. Your brain, it can be like every time you're thinking these negative thoughts and worry thoughts and anxious thoughts, it is like having an addiction. So it's like being a crack, and this is exactly what happens in the brain. It's like a crack addict that can't stop. So because you're used to the chemicals and the familiar feelings of being in an anxious and stressed out state. So step number 1, become aware of it. Step number 2, create your mindfulness practice. In my patented method, I show you actually how to measure if things are actually, with the method, there's a couple different levels with this program. I'm not going to get into it. But there is a way that you can actually, without hooking yourself up to, one of those electrodes, to measure how your anxiety is doing, or actually measure your success of changing those habits. Because if you can manage your stress and anxiety, you can get through anything. I have seen some very successful people that come to me on a verge of a mental breakdown. And because we're working together, things happen very fast, have been able to navigate around that very quickly, so that the health issues that they brought on are, no longer an issue. It can really happen that fast if you catch it right away. But I feel that this is such a serious issue, is that you must absolutely know that you have control over this. If you have the right tools. See, a lot of times we weren't taught growing up having the right tools, because we're looking at our parents as these role models. Now, there's nothing wrong with your parents. I don't want to put them under the bus, but think about the generation that they grew up in, and they didn't have a lot of the tools that we have today. So don't make them wrong. Learning experience, and realize that you can empower yourself. You can manage your stress and anxiety by having this practice of mindfulness. And then the other thing that I want to mention. So create awareness, mindfulness routine. Third thing is self-care. I find when people get anxious and they're stressed out, they're not taking care of themselves. This sounds so simple, yet most people don't do it. They don't do it. So, what does the self care practice look like? Well, it can be different for each individual based on what lights you up. So, make a list of things that you feel are nurturing. Is it grabbing a coffee? Something simple as grabbing a coffee, going for a walk could be a self care routine, working out on. You could read a book. You could watch a video just like this. It's anything that you feel you've neglected in your life right now, because that typically is what's showing up when you neglect yourself, when you're not following in your unique formula and being true to yourself. I find that you will allow the stress and anxiety to surface up. Now, the stress and anxiety is a feedback system to you, letting you know that you need to have more self-care. So that is the benefit of having anxiety and stress. I mean, you're like, wait a minute, there's no benefit. There's actually a benefit. It's a feedback system. You're not taking care of yourself. You're running on autopilot instead of having reflective awareness. So the anxiety and stress, okay, what do I need to do in order to take care of myself more? Where have I been giving my power to everyone else and not going within? So I look at self-care as kind of a mindfulness practice in and of itself. So what do you need to do that is in alignment? It could be a different thing depending on the day. Sometimes if you have a lot of stress and anxiety, you may not feel like you want to work out. Some people, it does not work to go through an exercise routine when they're stressed out and have a lot of anxiety. Some people are better at just journaling, or some people are better at just taking a walk. Or talking to a friend. So when you're talking to someone, especially women, when you're having these conversations, it releases oxytocin, that feel good hormone. So, do I need to connect with my friends more? So, call your friend up and saying, hey, I just need to vent. A good friend will let you vent, right? A bad friend will bring you, reinforce the story. So there's a distinction between that. You want to vent, but you also want to have a strategy to overcome that. Otherwise, you're going back and creating that feedback loop of dopamine in your brain, just explaining your same story. Why does this always happen to me? Oh, I'm so stressed out, instead of creating a solution, right? So anyways, self-care routine, what does that look like for you? And the other technique, the other strategy that I recommend if you're having a lot of stress and anxiety is called my immersion technique. And what that is, it's literally watching a video like this. So go to my channel right now and watch videos that you feel speak to you that could really help you. Now, why this is important, this immersion technique is so important, because now you're creating a dopamine fix that is actually empowering you. Even if you go back and watch this video over and over again, what happens is that you'll see this content in a different way, and then you're going to be able to apply it to your situation. You're going to feel hopeful instead of helpless. And so the more that you immerse yourself in watching these videos on my channel, because that's why I'm here to help you, here to empower you, you're going to come up with creative ideas, solutions, instead of being into your story. So taking yourself out of the poor me story into a solution mode, which helps you to feel more confident, more relaxed. You're not doing anyone favors by retelling your story over and over again. I truly believe, yes, you need a time to vent, but you can't stay in that feeling. You can't keep eliciting those emotions, because then you're telling your brain, oh, this is how we're going to react to stress and anxiety all the time. So you want to make sure that you have a strategy, right? Some of these strategies that I'm teaching you. Now, the last one, and the most accelerated one, is getting someone to help you to navigate around your stress and anxiety. So when I'm working with clients, we may be focused on business, but I find a lot of times when they have stress and anxiety, I'm not going to be focusing on business when they're having relationship issues. We have to unpack the relationship issues. We have to shift their perception on how they see it, so that they can find a solution that works for them. And then they open up in a new way. Now, here's the interesting thing is that if you're having stress around a relationship, if you focus on fixing yourself and not necessarily focusing on the other person, what happens is when you flip the switch on your inner world, everything else around you changes. A lot of times I find what happens is that when I'm working with my clients and helping them to shift, in their brain, making those new connections, that the solutions are already happening outside of them. That's how fast things can change. In rewiring those connections, creating those new neural pathways so that you feel focused, you feel calm, and you feel relaxed. So getting someone to help you navigate around these issues will accelerate the rate in which you shift your perceptions. I look at this as an investment in yourself, so that you can be strong. And now you have the tools to transform any situation. I was talking to a client earlier who was having relationship issues. She's like, Heather, I'm so glad that I've done the work with you because now I know how to handle this. So what would have taken her years to navigate around, she could just flip the switch because now she has what I call the technology. She has the strategies. If you're having, again, anxiety around money, you're not going to be able to make more money. Let's just say if you lost your job, you're having stress at work, or you're having issues with cash flow in your business, or just the pressure, just having stress and anxiety in your business. You have a entitled client. There's just so many issues I can unpack here, but these feelings feel real. And if you don't know how to shift your perception around it, you could lose your business. You could lose your job. If you're having issues in a relationship, you're going to say something that you're going to blow up and lose your relationship without having, balanced mind thinking, being calm and cool and aware of your situation. The person that has the most power, especially if we're talking about relationships, if you're having issues and anxiety, is the one that is calm and collected. You can also use this in your career. If you're finding, you have just so much stress, if you know how to master your emotions and have that reflective awareness, you could elevate your status in the company because you're knowing how to shift emotionally. They're going to see you as a valuable team player. And of course, in your business, when you're managing your stress and anxiety, that's when you're going to tap into your genius mind. That is when you're going to tap into ideas to connect with cash flow, if that is something that you're looking to focus on, or dealing with a client. I actually do have a video on my channel that you can watch, dealing with difficult clients. As you grow your business, guess what? You're going to have those difficult clients. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. Let me know what strategies you're going to use. And again, if you want to be put on my wait list for my latest product that I'm filing for a patent, once I file for the patent, I'm going to be doing tons of videos on that. You can email me, support@heatherpickin.com. Drop a comment below. Until next time, this is Heather Pickin, and live fearlessly.